Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube. For those of you that I have not seen before or have not met before, my name is Abia Sonia, and I am a counselor and a life coach. I will be talking about miscarriage today. This is the topic that I brought different people to speak about. I brought people to talk about their experiences, and they have been so generous to share everything they've been through. And today is the final episode. You may be asking, why am I doing this? I am doing this today in order to be able to share my experience and also to be able to use my experience as a counselor to be able to enlighten people on what to expect. When I went through the miscarriage that I went through years ago, there was no information, and the only way I could deal with it, I wouldn't say all the aspect was very, very good. However, before I progress, I would like to also acknowledge people that have been through this experience and people that are going through it right now. I just want to say, I send you peace and I send you the love of God. It is not an easy experience. It can be very, very traumatic. I know trauma can be relative and different people might go through similar experiences. However, they may not find it traumatic. In my own case, the only way I've ever heard about miscarriage was when I hear people talking about it, that this person is still expecting or they are experiencing miscarriage, hence why they've not had a child ever since they got together. The closest I ever saw someone experiencing it, I felt so powerless that day. And as I was looking at this person very close to me, all I could do was just quietly in my heart be saying prayer as I was talking to this person, as I was trying to just let them know that I was there with them. I'm not even sure if I did everything right that day, but that was not my priority. It was not about doing things right. It was about just being present with them, holding their hands, wiping their tears when they were crying. Fast forward years later, I experienced mine. Nobody prepared me for that. Not even me witnessing and being there for someone prepared me for what I experienced. The pain was excruciating. But having been through that, I thought maybe I'll be able to find information. But the truth is, all I was given after I went to the hospital and it was confirmed that there was definitely no heartbeat. All I was given in the hospital was a pamphlet, a leaflet filled with information. That was it. They did not give me any other support. And to even make matter worse, I went on my own. Now, I didn't go on my own because I just wanted to go on my own. My husband that was supposed to be following me had to go and pick the children from school. So as a result of that, he could not be there with me physically. So I ended up going to the hospital and getting the confirmation after the excruciating pain that I've been for days that definitely there was a miscarriage and there was no heartbeat. I thought the arrangement was okay by me for my husband to go and pick up the children while I go by myself. But alas, when I got home, it was not okay by me because that going alone, there was no one to hold hand. My sister was living far away from me. And it just made me feel really alone because I looked at him and I was getting really, really upset. I was filled with resentment for myself for not going to the hospital on time. I was filled with resentment for him not following me to the hospital when I wanted him to follow me too. But then again, I have to be not selfish because the children have to be picked from school. They have to be looked after as well. He cannot be in two places at the same time. So I couldn't really understand the resentment that I felt about it towards him because I felt like he should have followed me. But then again, he was doing the right thing by picking the children up. So miscarriage is an experience that you will have mixed emotions. You don't really know what your emotions are. One minute you are very, very angry. You may be angry inwardly at yourself. You may be angry at other people, maybe your partner. They are sometimes they are the people that really gets the latter end of your emotions. And you might also be angry at the medical team that helped you or that worked with you. You might feel like, why did they not give you something to stop the process? But then again, when I did further research, I realized that when a miscarriage happens, the chromosomes are not formed properly, which is why you have to allow the process to go the way it should go, because the chromosomes are the parts that form the human body, the body parts that we're supposed to have. So if something has already triggered that process and is the baby is not growing right, so sometimes there is nothing the medical team can really do to help. I've heard people say they were carrying twins and they were able to stop it. So the resentment just carried on and on and on like that. But one thing that I know also made it worse for me is that I wanted to talk about it, but because I've not seen other people talk about it, I didn't really think it was normal. I didn't really think it was normal to talk about it. So I had to keep it to myself. And then when I informed my sisters about it, I just told her that I didn't want to talk about it because I thought that was the norm. You can just inform someone, but you shouldn't dwell on it. You just carry on. It was almost as if there was a stigma if you talk about it. It was almost as if you talk about it, maybe it will happen again. So shush, don't talk about it. Just move on. I tried my best to move on. But this was a pregnancy that I already have a name for. I already have a name for that baby. So I find myself grieving for not meeting this baby that my body only asked for some weeks, over just over 3 months. This was the pain that I was feeling, that I would never meet this baby. And I found myself being so protective around my children. I was very, very protective around them. And in a way, I was feeling a bit paranoid, whereby I'll be thinking, oh, is it because I was not resting enough? Maybe because at that time I had a lot on my plate. I was not resting enough. And I was to find out later that when you are in a state of chronic stress and you are picking up infections, you're having water infections or you're having cold and all sort of things, you are you easily pick up infections here and there. That is not so good for someone that is pregnant. So I was then blaming myself that if I had enough rest, maybe this wouldn't have happened. After all, I've carried other pregnancy into full term, and I felt like I let that unborn child down. So all of these things, and it just grew a wedge between me and my husband because he couldn't understand. I felt like he didn't understand what I was going through because it was not his body that felt still pregnant, and yet there was no baby that was going to be expected at the end of that. I had to just wait for my body to go through that system and everything would go away normally. So I was the one that was going through that, and I felt that he would never understand because it was not his body that changed. So now these are the tips I'm going to give. The tips I'm going to give is for those people that are going through it and you have a spouse, please, as a woman, do not feel like your husband will not understand because it was not his body that went through the changes. That is not always true. They may not have carried the baby, but I promise you, they are also feeling hurt. They are feeling hurt because they cannot help you. Men like to be able to help those that they love. They like to be able to support those people that they love. And when they are not able to help, they feel so disempowered. So even though their body may not go through the changes, but mentally and emotionally, men are also drained as well. So I'm telling, is this opportunity, I'm using it to tell people that if you are going through this or you've ever been through this and you feel like your husband will not understand because his body did not go through it, that is not 100% true. Your husband understand because it was his own baby as well. Remember, it was a joint contribution. So please, if you are going through this as a couple, This was how me and my husband went through it. I had to write this point down because I wasn't sure if I was going to get emotional in this process. I've even thought about recording it so that if I get emotional, I can edit and remove it. But since I brought my guests to speak about it live, I just thought I will also do it live. So I wrote point down. And the thing is, do not judge one another as a spouse. Do not judge your wife and say, oh, maybe if you didn't eat this food, or maybe if you took enough folic acid, or maybe if you do, maybe. There is no maybe. It is not the woman's fault. As a woman, do not blame your spouse because it is not their fault either. It is not anybody's fault. So please don't blame one another. The second one is be empathetic towards one another. It may not have been the one to carry the baby. You may have been the one that will go through the body changes. But believe me, your husband is also grieving that child that they will never meet, as you are also grieving. So be empathetic, because when you are empathetic, you will not be in a haste to be angry at your spouse. You will not be in a haste to say things that you regret later. So it is so important to be empathetic. Empathy helps us to understand that this person is also going through something, and you will be more compassionate towards them. Also, feel the feeling and the process. Do not pretend that it is not happening. Even if you are, no matter the religion, don't pretend that it's not happening. Don't stigmatize yourself that if you talk about it, or if you feel people feel like you are weak, it doesn't matter. There is strength in vulnerability. If you are going through this, or you've ever gone through this, acknowledge your feeling. Please, I beg of you, do not suppress your feeling. Acknowledge your feeling. If you are feeling angry, yes, you are feeling angry. If you are feeling sad, yes, you are feeling sad. If you are feeling guilty, yes, you are feeling guilty. But you must ask yourself some questions. Why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling guilty? Why am I feeling sad? Why am I feeling upset? When you begin to ask yourself these honest questions, you will be able to process these feelings, and you'll be able to know that it is not your fault. You're only human. Also, allow yourself to be vulnerable to your support system. Your support system, if you have a spouse, allow yourself to be vulnerable with them. Allow yourself to be vulnerable to, maybe if you have your support system, whoever is in your support system that you trust. Allow yourself to be vulnerable with them. If you feel like talking to them on the days that you are feeling low, speak to them and talk to them about how you genuinely feel. Okay? Do not be doing strong woman. Strong black women, a lot of them they are gone. So there is nothing, we don't have a trophy of being the strong black woman. To be vulnerable is okay. So allow yourself to be vulnerable and talk to them. That will help to shut those automatic negative thoughts that will pop in your head. If you just carry this load on your own, you will end up feeling overwhelmed, and you end up just thinking about things you're not supposed to be thinking about. Now, the another point is give yourself time to grieve. It is so important that you give yourself time to grieve. If you are invited to social functions and you feel like you are not up to it, then it's fine. You don't have to show your face and just carry on as if everything is normal. Everything is not normal, and it's okay for things not be normal for some time. It's okay. So allow yourself, give yourself time to grieve. Don't pretend like it did not happen. Then another one is tap into someone that is higher than yourself. In my case, it was God. I'm a Christian. I'm a woman of faith. So I tap into that sovereignty. I tap into it. I did not run to my pastor. I did not run to anybody to pray for me. I just had that connection with God. I had to look into the Bible verse that resonates with me. And one of them was Isaiah 41, verse 10. It said, fear not. And I put my name there. Fear not, Abiosonia. Do not be afraid, for I'm with you. He said, I will hold you and I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. And that alone, when I thought about that Bible verse over and over again, I just knew that I was not alone. I was not alone, irrespective of anything. I knew that I was not alone, right? So I went and I read this Bible verse over and over again. And another one was Psalm 1, verse 1 to 3. We say that we should, meditate on the word of God. He said we should not stay in the front of mockers, but we should meditate on the word of God over and over again. And he said in every season we'll thrive. So I realized that, yes, I am going to thrive after this. It doesn't matter what that season hold for me. I am going to thrive after this. So I find those Bible verses and I wrote it down. I begin to meditate on it. I begin to get life. He said, this, the word that you're sharing, they are spirit and life. In your case, you might be a Muslim, you might be Hindu. I don't know what the religion that you belong to, but find those words that will edify you, that will edify and make you know that you are not carrying this alone. There is a sovereign being that is looking over you, that is looking after you. And that gave me immense strength. Now, I was not a life coach or a counselor as at the time these things happen. I'm just trying to get a tissue. I was not a life coach or anything as at when this happened. So I didn't even know how to even tap into those resources at all. But now that I'm a life coach and a counselor, I see people come in for sessions because they're having post-traumatic stress disorder for the traumatic experiences they had, either when they were having a child or maybe during a miscarriage. And I begin to understand, wow, yeah, people do go for counseling for these things. So if you also want to tap into that resources, go and see your GP, go and see your doctor. They will refer you to counselors, professional counselors that will help you to process your emotions, that will help you with things that with information to support groups as well that can also help. um Now I've talked about couples. That's how couples can heal. Take time off as well. If you are both working a lot, take time off to go and just unwind, right? Take time off to go and reconnect, because it will take the focus away from both of you, whereby you find a mutual goal. Maybe if you both like a road trip, go on a road trip. If you like to go into nature, go away and just go into nature and just admire things around you and just be grateful for nature, be grateful for things around you. This will help to also take things away from yourself. Gratitude have a way of provoking these good dopamines inside of us. So you can also try that as well to reconnect. You can also volunteer and help people, because you see, giving have a way of helping us to heal. Whether you give your time or your resources, try and give those things to people that are less privileged than yourself. It also have a way of making you feel good. It have a way of seeing other people gaining from you. It also have a way of making you heal as well. Those are some of the things that I feel will help a couple. Now, if you have people that are going through this and you are there as a support system, but you don't know how to support them, these are the ways that you can help them. Be there for them, not to tell them what to do, not to start pushing them to do things, but just be there for them physically. If it's distance, be there with them on the phone, talk to them, or just listen. It is so important to listen to people when they are grieving. Your presence is enough. I know sometimes you'll be wondering, my presence, what is it doing? It is doing a lot. It is making that person know that they are loved. You giving your time to that person to make them know that they are valued, they are appreciated. So your time is enough for that person. Give your time and also help them actively by the things that they cannot do. It might be cooking, it might be helping them to clean their space, it might be helping them with their children, it might be taking them to helping them to do things that they love. You can just be doing it, they might be watching you. That's enough as well, right? You just showing up and helping them to do those things that they cannot presently do is enough for them. They might not have appetite to cook and eat, but you bringing that food for them might help them want to eat as well, or even eat with you. Those things are enough, okay? Please, this is not a time for you to start telling them maybe you were not praying enough, judging them. Don't judge them. Don't start telling them maybe they were not fasting enough. Don't do that. These are the time that your presence is enough. demonstrating and helping them physically with things, you can also go away and pray for them. It is so important. When you pray for them as well, they will appreciate that. And at that, you don't have to tell them you're praying for them, but that prayer have a way of lifting people up when they are down. If you know any support group that can help them, you can signpost them to the support group. But please do not compel or force or push them to go for this support group. Just give them the information, and when they are ready, they will be able to access this information. It is not your place for you to go and be using that as a source of gossip. It is not your place for you to go and be telling everybody what has happened to them. The fact that they trust you enough and they were comfortable enough to share their information with you does not give you the audacity or the right to go and be telling other people. Let them share their information to those they wish to share their information with. The fact that you are all in the same cycle does not mean they are comfortable enough or at the same level of comfort with other people in the same circle. So please, it's not the time that you start telling everybody that they didn't ask you to start telling. Don't do that. Keep it to yourself because they told you. Let them be the one to also tell other people by themselves. You can also treat them to a self-care. You can do a manicure for them. You can do a pedicure for them. If they are up to going out with you, then you can take them out as well. You can take them, just walk with them, go for a walk with them if they are up for it. But please, this is not the time, I repeat, to be pushy or to push them to do things they do not want to do. So far, I've talked about how I felt and how I dealt with I've talked about how couples can deal with miscarriage. I've talked about how you can help people that are going through miscarriage as well. My final point is it is so important that you honor your loss. It is so important. It's not something to be swept under the carpet as a dirty secret. It's not something that should be hidden. You can honor your loss by yourself. You can honor it with your spouse. You can just choose to honor the way you want to honor. You can, if you have your scan picture, you can keep that and just for you to remember and just be grateful that it doesn't matter how long you carry that baby, just be grateful for it and see it as something that you were thankful for, not something to regret. I really do hope that all of this will help you if you're going through this, or it will help you to support your loved one as well. And as couples, I hope you find strength in this, that fighting one another is never the solution. Blaming and judging one another is never the solution. It's taking strength and relying on one another. When one is low, you pick the other person up and vice versa. That is the way to go through this, because ultimately we have no power to stop this. We have no control over it. We can only do our best and focus on what we have the power to control, or we have the power to maintain. That's the only thing that we can do. Is going to, on the 12th of October is an awareness day for pregnancy and infancy loss. Share this with people, or share this on your status, share this wherever you can share it. And I hope more people will be able to talk about it and be there for others that are going through it. I wish you all the best. I send you peace. I send you love. I send you peace and I send you love. Take care. I remain your host, Sonia, and it's a bye for me now. If you like the content on this page, do where to subscribe, do where to share with people. And until I come your way again, take care and be blessed.